Hey everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity. Glad to have you here. Let's get into it. Yes, I know the vice presidential debate is happening tonight. Don't give a fuck. Don't give a fuck, all right? There's two corporate candidates that are saying goddamn nothing that don't really matter to begin with. I mean, the vice presidency is a shit job anyway. So as much hatred and apathy I have for the presidential debates, I have 10 times that much for the vice presidential debates. It's just, I mean, now if you were to put them into some sort of cage fighting ring and let them really go at it, then I might settle in for a couple of minutes, get out the old popcorn and enjoy myself. But otherwise, I don't really see the point. Anyway, that is not what I want to talk about. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. Please share this so we can have more people to hang out with. I always like more people, especially in the orgies. So a couple of articles I want to talk about here, what's going on in the world. And, they have to do with climate change. They have to do with our environmental collapse. And I think the fact that it's not really getting that much talk, continue. We have to, like I said, all news, all media needs to be about Donald Trump or Joe Biden. That's all they can discuss. Meanwhile, the world's on fire. California's literally on fire. Most of the world's just figuratively on fire. And it really is like if the entire world were one forest fire, arguing about like the vice presidential debate, or so, in a lot of ways, even the presidential debate is like, it's like seeing two ants on an anthill in the middle of the forest fire and going, those two seem to be yelling at each other. Let's see what they have to say. Let's find out what these two ants have to say about what's going on in their world, because our systems, the systems that are collapsing down around us, are much larger than just those two human beings. I'm not saying don't vote. You should vote, but that shouldn't be 80% of your discussions. Most of the change that we're going to need and going to see, hopefully, in this world, it needs to be much larger scale than that. It needs to be a complete kind of revolution of the mind. And so that's why I like to talk about these larger issues rather than just focus on what incoherent sentence came out of Joe Biden's empty eye hole after his glass eye fell out. You get the point. So what? Sometimes I get too angry, and then the sentences don't all, they become fragments that don't all connect like a jigsaw. So I want to talk about this article and then follow it up with another one that definitely are related. So this is about the leaked documents coming from Exxon. I don't know how many of you caught this. Dale is saying I talk too much. Well, then turn it off, Dale. Go fuck yourself. So this is from Exxon, and I'm going to share this article with you right here. This is from the leaked documents coming from Exxon that have revealed their plan to have surging carbon emissions at just a tremendous volume. These leaked documents show internal projections from one of the world's largest oil producers, and it shows an increase in its enormous contribution to global warming. Just want to read this first paragraph. ExxonMobil Corp had plans to increase annual carbon dioxide emissions by as much as the output of the entire nation of Greece. An analysis of internal documents reviewed by Bloomberg shows setting one of the largest corporate emitters against international efforts to slow the pace of warming. The drive to expand both fossil fuel production and planet-warming pollution has come at a time when Exxon's rivals, such as BP and Shell, are moving to curb oil and zero-out emissions. Yeah, right. I'll believe that when I see it. Exxon's own assessment of its $210 billion investment strategy shows yearly emissions rising 17% by 2025, according to internal projections. Again, that's the amount, or greater than the amount, of the entire nation of Greece. And this goes to show like how much ExxonMobil and these other oil companies are destroying our environment, our world. 100 corporations are responsible for 71% of all global emissions, and the environment is collapsing down around us because of that. So these leaked documents show that Exxon is not planning on curbing it. They're not planning on decreasing it. They're actually increasing it by a very large amount because that is their business model, right? We live in a capitalist world where the goal is as much profit as possible in the next quarter, maybe the next year. And beyond that, they don't really think. They don't really care. They're not trying to create a sustainable world, a sustainable model, something that you could actually, you could picture your kids and grandkids living in. That doesn't even come into their minds, all right? That's not even, there's not a moment that they pause and go, what about the future? No, that does not happen. And if it did, they wouldn't be in that Exxon boardroom. I can promise you that. So Exxon is doing this. Now, the Bloomberg article tries to claim that Shell and BP are trying to do otherwise, but yeah, right. Not so much. They may claim to be doing otherwise, but other than a little decrease here and there of the amount they're emitting, they're not doing much different. And these are some of the worst corporations in the world for creating a sustainable future, for having a future at all. But it's not just them. It's far larger than them. It is an entire systemic economic platform that is creating this downfall, creating our obliteration of the environment around us. And so speaking to that, I wanted to get to another larger point that is fucking terrifying, which it has to do with the cloud cover in the world. This was in Quantum magazine, but it's a study from a scientific, that was published in a scientific magazine. Since you can see the screen there, you can see that clearly I'm being advertised some sort of weird cabbie hat because I've been really looking for cabbie hats recently. That's been my thing. It's just like, if I could just get the fucking best cabbie hat, then I think everything's going to turn around. I think everything will be coming up camp. If I could just get that cabbie hat, everything else falls in line after that. A lot of people have said otherwise. They've said the hat doesn't matter. I've said, no, fuck you. It's the hat. If I could just find the right cabbie hat. I don't think this one on the screen's it, but if I can find the right one, everything else is going to go great. None of that's true. I'm not looking for a cabbie hat. Please don't send me cabbie hats. I don't know why they advertise this garbage to me, but I always like when I've put the algorithm off, when I've confused it enough. A lot of times I'm searching for weird things because we show weird jokes on Redacted Tonight. So I'll, be looking up images of a fat guy fucking a goat. And then the algorithm within Google will think like, oh, this guy likes fat guys fucking goats. So then it keeps showing me that. And so maybe I looked up a cabbie hat at some point for a joke. I don't know. But anyway, let's get to the point. This is... But who doesn't love a tangent? This is from Quantum magazine. A world without clouds, a state-of-the-art supercomputer simulation indicates that a feedback loop between global warming and cloud loss can push Earth's climate past a disastrous tipping point in as little as a century. So basically this is saying, if I can try and sum it up, that you get to a high enough level of carbon in the atmosphere, and at that point, the clouds tend to disappear. The simulation revealed a tipping point, a level of warming at which stratocumulus clouds break up altogether. The disappearance occurs when the concentration of CO2 in the simulated atmosphere reaches 1,200 parts per million, a level that fossil fuel burning, like Exxon, could push us past in about a century under business as usual emissions scenarios. In the simulation, when the tipping point is breached, Earth's temperature soars 8 degrees Celsius, in addition to the 4 degrees of warming of the oceans, I believe, or more, caused by the CO2 directly. Oh, no, they're saying the world, 4 degrees, but then 8 more degrees on top of that. So, yeah, not great news. Not as good as that cabbie hat in terms of things to be excited about. This is horrifying, and it should be. But, and most people who are, doing the pure clickbait thing, they don't show you articles like this because people don't like things that are depressing and seem gigantic. However, I don't feel we have a choice to do anything but talk about this. I think this should be, like, honestly, if they wanted to make the vice presidential debate matter at all, this should be about 80% of what they talk about. And again, it's I've said this many times. It's not just climate change, global warming. It's environmental collapse, even outside of that. We are filling the oceans with plastic. We're destroying the animal life. We've killed 50% of all wildlife over the past 40 years. Biodiversity is crashing. The number of insects, when they count insects in a given area, that amount is collapsing. It's basically an insect genocide. And so there's many levels on which we are destroying this planet. So even if you are a dum-dum who doesn't understand climate change and you're like, it's all a fraud, you should still understand that the environment's collapsing, even separate from that. So we've got to change the way that we are using this world, the way we process the world. And unfortunately, and this is the thing that can't be said, this is yet another thing that cannot be said on your mainstream airwaves, can never be mentioned. I don't think you'll ever see it mentioned on your mainstream media airwaves. It comes down to capitalism. It comes down to a free market system that puts profit on top of all else. So even if you have a small group of very committed people that are trying to save the world, that are trying to create sustainable ways of living, that are trying to regrow an area and really rewild it and create animal life and everything else, the moneyed interests, the billionaires and the millionaires have the ability to destroy that, to destroy those who are creating a sustainable future. The billionaires can buy out parts of the world, buy up and buy out parts of the world and destroy it all for themselves. So even if you did have a certain number of people that were doing nothing but working on creating a sustainable future, a sustainable path, that can be bought out, or, the amount of pollution released by the billionaires and the millionaires, by those 100 companies that create 71% of all emissions, destroys whatever is done to create a sustainable world. They can just double their pollution, and then you can't really stop it if we're going in a system that is money-based, that is profit-based. So at the heart of the problem, it is capitalism. It is this market system that allows us to put a profit on everything, that allows Nestle to buy up the water and then sell it for a massive amount of money. It allows companies to pollute endlessly into the air, like as if clean air is just an unlimited, a limitless resource. So you've got to ultimately realize that that is the problem at the end of the day. And nothing we do will truly change that as long as we're on this economic system. We can have some moderate change, some moderate progress in certain areas. There's a guy who's created a system to try and clean up some of the plastic out of the world's oceans, and that is good. He's going to clean up a little fraction of plastic in the world's oceans. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really stop until we create a system that is not endless consumerism. And you can't do that in a system of capitalism that is based on infinite growth, which is infinitely either consuming or producing, building infinite growth on a planet with finite resources. That is the definition of a capitalist society. And so we will inevitably destroy this planet, which we are doing, and we're doing it quickly. And soon we will have no clouds in 100 years if we don't change the system. It sucks to have to talk about it, but it's what we need to talk about. And so all of these other things, like you see, there's Joe Biden saying, I'm for the Joe Biden green energy plan. And he said, we're going to put 500,000 charging stations for electric cars across the country. So that's part of his plan. That's apparently one of the big parts of his plan, because he mentions it a lot. And it's like, okay, charging stations for electric cars, that's a good thing. It's better than not having electric cars. Absolutely. However, if everyone's still driving, an endless number of cars around the world, and America uses 25% of the world's resources with 4% of the population. So if other countries continue to develop and they all have a car and they all drive their car and we're using all that energy, and where's that energy coming from? then you're still destroying the planet. It doesn't actually solve the problem. It puts a Band-Aid on the problem, slows the amount of emissions, but it doesn't solve the problem. So if you really want to solve this problem, you got to look at an economic system that profits, that puts a profit motive on everything. And so this article says that we'll lose the clouds in not so long, and there will be no future for this planet. Obviously, you lose the clouds, you lose rain, because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but rain comes from the clouds. You might want to write that down if that's new to you. Rain, it's the clouds create the rain. Can't have the rain without the clouds. So you got no clouds. You start. I think people are starting to get it. Here's another. Let's see, another quote from that article. Clouds currently cover about 2/3 of the planet at any moment. But computer simulations of clouds have begun to suggest that as the Earth warms, clouds become scarcer. With fewer white surfaces reflecting sunlight back to space, the Earth gets even warmer, leading to more cloud loss. This feedback loop causes warming to spiral out of control. And, you know, if we did get to this spiraling out of control point, we would have just amount of extinction that you can't imagine. Most of the planet would become unlivable. There'd obviously be crazy wars over water, because if you don't have rain, if you only have rain in a very scarce number of places, then fresh water scarcity becomes even greater. But I will give you the slight silver lining, coating, same idea. I'll give you the slight silver lining to this. This has been discovered, this feedback loop of these clouds has been discovered by a supercomputer, the likes of which that we have not had the capability or the access to until recently. And computers are getting exponentially faster. I mean, I was reading an article today about quantum computing that is truly unimaginable. Now, on one hand, that means that AI will be increasing the speed of processing, eventually getting to a point where AI can have access to all of the world's information almost instantaneously, and not just defeat you in chess like it can already do, but it also punch you in the balls and steal your dog and destroy your life in a matter of seconds. So that's the negative side of AI, if we don't control it properly. The positive side is that you could have computer models that are telling us where we're headed. And these computer models, as you do more and more of them, are going to become undeniable. The scientists across the world will say, yeah, we've run every computer model, and the only way that we actually continue to have life on this planet is if we get rid of capitalism and evolve past it, evolve to something new, evolve to a new way of doing things. And they will have the computer models that show that. I think that, it seems to be common sense if you actually read about these things. But I think these computer models will show us ways that we can move past capitalism, evolve beyond it to a much better world, to one that can be sustainable, to one where there's no need for hunger or war. I mean, the way we're living right now is beyond animalistic. The idea that we need to drone bomb every day, the idea that we need to have economic war on so many countries so that people are dying of hunger, that we're stopping medications from getting in. We are animals of the highest regard. No, we're animals of the lowest regard. We are destroying this planet in a variety, a cornucopia of ways. You wouldn't believe the number of ways we have to destroy this planet. So hopefully this computer modeling and AI will help us see these solutions, see the way of solving these problems. But obviously AI's got its own problems. So I've done many a segment on how dangerous AI is if we put our own biases in it. But so I won't get into that right now. But there was a little silver lining. And I also think that a growing number of people are realizing the flaws of capitalism, the flaws of a system that is entirely profit-based, and also a system that, a hierarchy that rewards being a sociopath. I mean, we have sociopaths at the top of every corporation in America. We have sociopaths at the top of our government, because sociopaths are the ones that are willing to do what it takes to get there. And in our current system, that it rewards that type of people. I mean, if you are a person that genuinely cares for others on like an everyday basis, and not just people you know, but people you don't know, if you actually care that there's drone bombs killing innocent civilians right now, then you do not get to the top of these systems. You do. There's not a chair waiting for you. Oh, the person who cares about other people, here's the chair for you. No. This system rewards the likes of Jeff Bezos, the likes of the people that are willing to throw others into the machinery and let it churn them up and spit them out. That is the type of human being that gets to the top of the system. So I also think we should have a sociopath test for all of these positions. Any corporation, any politician, we need a really good sociopath test. And you know, it used to be like, oh, we have something we think's worth. We could get to a very high level of sociopath test, reading brain waves and shit, and we could really know whether these people are sociopaths, whether they have any empathy for their fellow human being. And if, you know, they score low enough, then shouldn't even be allowed to run for office. Shouldn't even be. And yeah, we should also, you know, we'll put them on an island somewhere and let them, you know, fuck and suck and kill each other and do whatever the fuck they want. But they'd be on their own island, sociopath island. I think that is the path forward. All right, so brought you some bad news, brought you a little bit of uplifting news there at the end, and hope you find it useful. But, you know, again, whether this stuff's depressing or not, we got to talk about it. Apathy's not the answer. Apathy's also not the answer. Apathy is a terrible answer to solve the problems. Couldn't tell you that enough. All right, everybody. I hope you share this. And I do these moments of clarity almost every single weekday, except sometimes. So go to leecamp.com. Check it every day. It's on you not to be lazy. I know it's easy to just read the next thing that pops up in your feed, but my stuff's not going to be shown to you. It's not going to be fed to you like a baby bird. I'm suppressed more than ever before. So you're going to have to go to leecamp.com and check for it, because that's the only way that we'll keep growing and being seen. And the same goes, you know, I'm not just making this about me. The same goes for all of the real news sources, the outlets that actually matter. They're increasingly being censored, and you are not going to be fed them. They are not going to show up on your feed in various platforms. They are, if they're really printing the truth about empire, about corporations, about capitalism, they're not going to be given to you. They're not going to be shown to you. You got to make a choice each morning to go read them or to go to leecamp.com or whatever it is. So please share it. Please join the email list, which is also suppressed, but maybe a little less so. And keep fighting.